Dustborn developer Red Thread Games is making some wild accusations, claiming that the conversation around the game has been drowned out by a tidal wave of hate and abuse. To no one's surprise, they turned off the replies to the post and provided zero evidence of such hate and abuse. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. And this is the post they made to X. You can read it right there. I'll have the link in the description below, but let's just go up here and read the transcription that I did. And so they wrote this: since we first announced Dustborn, we've read your comments and listened to your feedback, hopes, and wishes for the game. Over the past 4 years, our team has poured their hearts into telling a story that's deeply meaningful to us, a story about the power of words, about building a world where everyone can feel safe, about love, friendships, and robots. Of course, we'll get into this because someone who has played the game says that this is not what you actually experience in the game. You actually bully people, you harass them, you use deception, and you manipulate them. You are not creating a world where people can feel safe. You're not creating a world about love. You're literally creating a world about lies and deception. Nevertheless, the company continues saying, we expected Dustborn to spark conversation and debate and look forward to engaging with our partners in a positive and constructive fashion. Unfortunately, that conversation has been drowned out by a tidal wave of abuse and hate. They didn't stop there. We welcome thoughtful feedback and respectful criticism. We embrace discussion and debate, but we have zero tolerance for hate speech, whatever that means, harassment, zero evidence that you were receiving any or that your partners were receiving any, and threats of any kind. What does that mean? What kind of threats were you receiving? Who knows? You didn't provide any. And when these people don't provide things, I just assume they're making it up, because if you don't have the evidence, it's likely the evidence isn't there. Those who engage in such behavior will be removed from our community. What community? What community? Look at this right here. What community does this game have? 83 peak concurrent 9 days ago, 30 people playing right now. In the 24-hour peak, only 40 people were playing. Who knows if these were the original people that bought the game, if they're people that have come in, given all of the negative press surrounding the game. But clearly, I don't think this game has a community whatsoever. Maybe a handful, maybe two handfuls of people, and that is about it. Because my guess is that we know at least two of the people that have played this game, Madam Savvy and Very Dark, have been heavily critical of this game. But let's get back to this over here. Where do they go? They say, to everyone else, thank you for coming on this journey with us. Your support means everything, and your constructive feedback continues to push us to learn and evolve. Together, let's continue building a world where everyone can feel valued and empowered to share their stories. That is literally the opposite of what this game is trying to convey. I guess it tells you that at the very end, but everything else you do in the game, at least according to Madam Savvy, which we'll get to here in a bit, is literally the opposite of what they are saying their game is about and what they are trying to achieve with their game. So let's just get right into this here. As I noted, they turned off the replies. You can see accounts Red Thread Games mentioned can reply, literally mention no one. So no one can reply to the post. And they didn't provide any evidence of any of the claims that they make in the post, which we kind of address. So Madam Savvy did respond to this post. She has a lengthy response, which you can indeed find here. Let's just read parts of it right here, which I think are pertinent. She says this: you want to tell a story about the power of words. Why did you choose to use words of hate and hurt for the main character? Why are we forced to use words of violence against our own friends? These are unavoidable moments no matter what you do. And just for context, the character in the game, the main character, Peace, has this ability where she can use her words to mentally and physically and emotionally manipulate people. So her words are literally words of violence. You can literally trigger someone to engage in certain actions, to mentally break them down, to weaken them emotionally, etc. Like that is an ability in the game. That is what she is talking about right here. You say you want to build a world where everyone can feel safe, then why did every single person we come across have their life ruined by the player character and the group? Why aren't the powers of packs something like salve or healing? Why is everything based on manipulation, lies, and deceit? Obviously, I added that right there, but you get the point, right? Like, they're lying. They're literally gaslighting. They actively created a game that encourages the type of behavior that they claim they are now condemning, which we haven't even seen any of that actual behavior because they didn't provide any evidence of it. But their game literally promotes and encourages the behavior that they are claiming to condemn. Utter gaslight right here. These are the kinds of people we're dealing with. We're dealing. These people have no values. They have no morals. They've lost any kind of moral center. They can no longer determine between what is right and good. And if they can, they're actively choosing wrong. They can't determine between what is right and wrong. They can't determine what is between good and evil. Just for clarification. And if they do, they're choosing evil. They're choosing wrong, and they're trying to get people to follow in their example of what is wrong and what is evil. And that's why they have packs engage in all of these evil, deceitful, manipulative activities, because they want their players to engage in that as well. And we'll get to another post here, because at the end of the game, Madame Savvy notes that the words aren't really what is changing. It's about empathy. Well, that's what they're telling you, but what they actually have you do, what they have you engage in, is not empathy at all. But they're trying to make you think that what you did was empathetic. All of these evil actions that you take as a player, they're trying to manipulate you to make you think that you're actually being empathetic. Fortunately, no one's playing this game, so it's not like the subversiveness of it doesn't have a big effect. But this is how Madame Savvy continues. I'm getting ahead of myself. She says, where was the love when we bullied Fred and lied about her? Pax's mother grows opium for a cult that's never mentioned again. Is that love? Why would she put her own people in danger by growing opium of all things? It's a highly addictive drug, and it can be used to keep people compliant. I'm sure you understand what I'm insinuating. So look, you're engaging in all of these evil actions, and they're trying to claim that this is love. It's not. It's not. It's not love at all. Madame Savvy is absolutely right to call this stuff out and torch them right here. She's on fire. Is it friendship when we are forced to manipulate our friends? Absolutely not. It's not friendship to be manipulative. To bully Theo? You're not friends with someone that you're bullying. Why can't we prank Sai while she prays, but we can prank Theo, who has done nothing wrong? For you to write what you did, you must like modern SpongeBob Squidward torture episodes where he doesn't do anything to deserve it. So accurately calling them out for how their gameplay is and their hypocriticalness, for lack of a better word. There's probably a better word for that. But they're being hypocritical, and she's calling them out for that because they're trying to condemn hate speech and abuse that they say that they're receiving, but they literally approve of it and are encouraging it in their actual game. So she also made similar comments in a previous post responding to Kotaku's review of the game. And this is just to kind of provide color on what you do in the game. Because she played it. She achieved like a 1% achievement, I think she had a 0% achievement in the game. Posted screenshots of that to X earlier this week. But she shared more about how the game encourages bullying, deception, and manipulation. She said, I'm not too sure how people with powers who admit to being con artists can be oppressed, or people with money, Gnome is rich, and PAX openly manipulates people to avoid situations. You are forced into triggering your friends, and none of your actions cause any consequences, as they'll always reassure you that you did the right thing. That's the point, right? They want you to think that by committing these objectively evil, objectively wrong things are actually right. That's literally what they're trying to do. That's the point of this game. To mess up the moral compass. Mess up your moral compass. Fortunately, Madame Savvy saw through it because she clearly has a strong moral compass, or at least that's what it looks like. Interestingly enough, Justice, which is supposedly the oppressive fictional U.S. government that is the oppressive U.S. government that's running things now, is never actually shown to do anything wrong. When you visit your own mother, she's running a cult in the woods, and like any cult who needs to make money, they grow illegal drug plants, opium to be exact. It's also interesting how we are forced to bully and lie about Fred, the barefoot ginger queen who just wants us to leave. If the mother is so caring and good, why would she put her people in harm's way by growing opium? Fred is left to be reprogrammed, and we never hear back from her. I hope she found some shoes. And then obviously this is in response to the Kotaku review. It says this review also fails to mention much about the memes and disinformation, or rather the fact that the player character is the source of disinformation. It also fails to mention that we are also forced into bullying our friend Theo, who is a good Catholic Mexican, while he is having a minor crisis of belief. On the other hand, you aren't allowed to mess with or bully the sex-obsessed overweight Sai, the artist named after Paint Tool Sai, while she engages in Muslim prayer. In another post, she questioned the game's hypocrisy. She says, the ending of the game says words were not the weapon, but it was empathy all along. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Could you please explain to my little pea brain how bullying Fred was a form of empathy when we came into her home, did everything she said we did, discovered our mother was growing opium, and then bailed after causing the cops to find the opium farm, which they just torched and then left? Could you please tell me how it was empathy to selfishly force Theo, who had done nothing to deserve our mistreatment of him, to do something he didn't want to do? I tried to avoid this completely, but I could not. The game even made me learn how to bully in order to proceed. Could you please tell me how it was empathy to take out a lone man in a trailer park who just cared about his tomatoes, speaking about how the government was doing mass surveillance? How was that even disinformation? I've read that there's even one part of this game, like in the beginning of the game, you can literally manipulate a robotic police officer into walking into the middle of the street as a giant tractor trailer is barreling down on him and have him get run over. That's what happens in this game. Like, that is literally the protagonist, the person who's supposed to be having the good moral conscience, the character that you're supposed to relate to, the character that you're supposed to emulate. That's what these people want. They want you to emulate this character. They want you to engage in these actions in real life. It's literally an Antifa training simulator. I've called that ever since I saw the trailer for this game. That's exactly what they're trying to do. And everything else I've seen about this game, heard about this game, confirms it. Confirms that belief. So I already talked about the player counts here. But this is what Red Thread Games is now doing. They're trying to gaslight people, trying to claim that they are the victims when they're the ones who created a game that literally encourages the type of things that they are trying to condemn. You cannot make this stuff up, but this is where we are at in 2024. This attack on conscience will continue. I don't see it letting up, but that is why we are here. We are here to push back against this. We are here to seek the truth. We are here to defend the truth, and that is what we will continue to do. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know what you make of Red Thread Games playing the victim, claiming that they are being abused and are receiving hate despite providing zero evidence of that. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, but to always speak the truth.